What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have.
I've had rainbows in my clouds. And the thing to do, it seems to me, is to prepare yourself so that you can be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud.
We all really, really love one another. Deep down, we all love one another, and we need to get back to that.
Hi, welcome to the Authentically You podcast. I'm Dr. Julie Ducharme, and I'm excited to welcome back actually one of our She Talks speakers that is coming up for Nashville. And I'm excited to welcome Nathalie Nelson Parker. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. So excited to be with you.
Well, we love to have a little preview of our speakers before the events. And something I love about She Talks is I'm getting to meet women across the nation with amazing stories, with amazing things they're doing. And it just empowers me. And I think for me, Nathalie, it makes me really feel like, hey, I'm not alone. You know, there's other women out there that are working hard to empower, to make change. And, you know, to hear the struggles and the barriers and the successes and failures mean a lot to me, because sometimes I feel like this road can be a lonely road sometimes. And I don't know how you feel about that.
Awesome. Yes. Especially as women leaders, we definitely need to stick together. And it's awesome to have spaces and environments that are supportive, loving, and authentically, where we can be authentically ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's so important.
Absolutely. I mean, I think probably a tough road, and I can only speak as a woman. Obviously, I don't know how guys feel, but as a young woman growing up, you know, I know for me that trying to find that path, what I really wanted to do was difficult, because I was always told, you know what, teaching's a good job for a woman. You should be a teacher. Now, don't get me wrong. God bless all the teachers out there, because I know I take my kids to school and I'm like, God bless you. You had 28 children in your class. I don't know how you could do that. But that wasn't my path. It wasn't my passion. And, you know, I would try and, you know, be like, well, I really love communication. I really love business. Oh, no, you should be a teacher. That's a good profession for a woman. You can do a good job in that. And, so I know growing up, I saw the things I had passion about, and like you said, wanting to be a leader, you know, and, it was a tricky path to navigate at that time in my life. And I think at that time also where women were kind of history wise. But as I'm on your website, you know, and I was telling you this off mic that, you know, I love some of the stuff you had there. And one of the things, you know, that we talked about, in here, and I'm gonna go down to it, is you talked about that you're redefining what it means to be a leader of woman of faith. And so I would love for you to tell myself and the listeners a little bit more about what does that mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I laugh because I started my career as an English teacher.
Yeah. So see, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But just a side note here, like, God bless all of you, because I have helped out in the classroom with my children, and I've been like, I don't know how you do it. My husband is a teacher. He's an elementary teacher, I think going on 15 or 16 years. And I mean, whenever I help out, I'm just like, you guys are blessed, because I couldn't do this all day. I couldn't do 28 students. So just a side note, I'm always just impressed with anyone who has that career, because you guys work hard. You definitely don't get paid enough. And I don't know how you come home and not lose your mind.
Well, so I would say the moment that I decided to be a teacher was the moment that I also decided to be a transformational leader. So I'm going to kind of tell my story a little bit backwards, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So when I started grad school, I'm a graduate of Columbia University. I went to Teachers College, and I decided I wanted to be an educator. And my experience with my advisor, when I had kind of like my final consultation, when you kind of decide, what are you going to do after you graduate? Not only did I decide I wanted to be a teacher, but I also decided I wanted to actually, because of what you said, I want to go to the highest paying school district that I can possibly go to as a teacher in New York. And so that was out in Long Island. And when I told my advisor, he said, you'll never get a job there. You're a new teacher. And there's some loaded conversations about that. I'm an African American woman. I am, just graduate, the first person in my family to graduate from grad school, all of these different things. But the moment he said that I couldn't do something was the moment that everything rose up inside of me and said, not only am I going to do it, but I'm going to kill it.
I love it. Yes.
The best teacher on Long Island you have ever seen. And so it was a lot of no's, but eventually I did get and land my first job.
Love that.
In Long Island, and within just a few years became a teacher that made six figures.
Wow.
Which was, no small feat. I taught two schools, one during the day and the yeshiva school. I was the first African-American female faculty member that they had. But there are some life experiences that I had early on that kind of cultivated that tenacity in me and that drive to not only be a transformational leader, but to lead from within, right? Because there's so many things that we're taught. So I'm the last child. I have 5 older brothers. I'm the first person in my family to be born in America. My parents are immigrants from the island of Jamaica. And there were a lot of things that I experienced early on being the last child and the only girl, okay? So there are a few things that I learned. One is you have to speak loud to be heard.
Yes.
You have to eat fast so your brothers don't take your food.
Amen. Amen.
And you have to be the best at what you do. So those are 3 things that I learned early on. And how did I learn those things? Because if I didn't talk over my brothers, they wouldn't hear me. If I didn't assert who I was and keep my food in my plate, I was so hungry. And 3, if I could really kind of play in the background and be in a room and feel invisible. And so there was something inside of me at an early age that just knew that everything that I wanted to be and everything that I wanted to do in life had to start with me. I had to lead from within. And so as I've gotten older, and I'm sure there's other moms and wives and women, whatever field that they're in, feel that at times, the pressures of the expectations of society. And sometimes we have a choice. We could either shrink into what others expect us to be, or we can start from within and transform our lives so that we can, in turn, transform the world. And that's why I decided whatever I'm doing, I'm no longer in education now. I'm an ordained minister, and I've created a national network that really serves the intersection of faith and the academy. And I'm working with a group of individuals that are often underserved, under-resourced, and in some areas and environments even undervalued. And so I understood that whatever I wanted to do in life had to start with me, because I couldn't expect validation from outside of me in many areas.
I love that. I mean, it's everything you're saying is so relevant. I mean, even when you said eat fast, I remember going to the table and there was only 3 in my family, 3 kids. But it's like, if my brother made it to that table before me,
forget about it.
Yeah. And you were the last child, you said. I was a middle child. And I relate to that, though, because, the joke is like the first baby gets all the attention. Then the second baby's like, yay, we remembered your birthday. And so, and not saying that my parents did that. But I remember everything you're saying, feeling that in those things of like, not being invisible in the room and being the best. And, I like to call what you have, and I have overachiever syndrome, because we're overachievers. And, I don't know about you, but that feeling of worth, which is something that we all really, really want so badly. And it can come from a variety of reasons, whether it be family, cultural, societal. But I always wanted to feel worthy, and society is really good at making you feel not worthy unless you look a certain way, you act a certain way. And I definitely got the overachiever syndrome where it was like, what else can I do? I got all my degrees. I've played this. I've done this. Da, da. And so, hearing you say be the best that you can be, that resonates with me because I really want to be the best that I can be and lead people. But recently, I would say over the last couple of years, I've had an epiphany of saying, you know what, I can be the best I can be, but it's okay too if that person is really good, just like me. Because I don't know about you, but are you competitive? Because I'm competitive.
I am. I think my greatest competition is myself.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not competitive in the traditional sense. And that's why I think the saying, be the best you can be, is so important because that's not measured by anyone else. Right? Well, it's measured by who you are.
We're always our worst critics. And I played competitive sports for a long time in college and professionally overseas. And so I'm naturally very, very competitive, but very competitive with myself. We're our worst critics.
Yeah.
I mean, thank goodness for my husband, who I'll look at a picture and be like, oh, I look horrible. And he's like, you look beautiful. Stop it. Like, I know, I just really don't like how my face looks there. My arm looks weird, So, being the best version of us is so important. And, as I was looking at, the message that you like to send, or you do send, on your website here, you put, you like to spread messages through the world, defying cultural, religious, gender, and socio-economic margins. And can you talk a little more in depth on that, of how you do that, and your message that you're trying to send?
Yeah, definitely. So I really believe as a leader that we all have the capacity, no matter where we're from, no matter what our life story, no matter the complexities of our stories, right? Because we all have so many different layers to our lives and to our experiences. I believe we all have the innate ability to lead, innovate, and transform. And no matter where we come from, those things are possible. And so my message is really to tap into who you are, understand that you are a person of innate and intrinsic value and worth, and you are loved, and you are worthy of love. And once we get there, once we kind of pull through the layers, and I'm saying this as someone who has overcome poverty, overcome molestation, overcome a lot of life's tragedies and just circumstances to get to the place where I'm not looking to be validated by anyone, but I understand that me in my authentic self, me in my unapologetic being, I'm enough. And if I lead myself, I have the ability to right the wrongs that I've done in life. I have the ability to innovate myself, to become a better version of myself, and in that transform my life to transform the world. And so working with our network is called the National Network of Young Adults. And we work primarily with young adult leaders, the ages of 18 and 35 on historically black colleges and universities. That's the message that we're telling them as they're at a crucial point in their lives, trying to figure out, where am I going to go next, right? Where do I go after graduate school? Where do I go after undergrad? And saying, no matter where you go, first you have to lead yourself. First you have to deal with who you are as a leader so that you can be effective in whatever field God is calling you to be. And so I'm not like many other pastors where the parish is kind of where they are. The world is my parish. And so I shepherd or pastor 300 young adults across the country. And it's so amazing to see. We're about 3 years in. We're a new network, and seeing young adults become young professionals and enter fields from the corporate arena to the private sector to business. And it's amazing to see them evolve as leaders and transform the spaces that they're going into.
That's amazing. I love that. I really feel more than ever today in this world that our youth, they're our future leaders, and they truly need guidance and support. There is a lot of weird stuff out there. I'm just going to say it. There is a lot of weird stuff. And I myself have worked in youth ministry my brother started out as a youth pastor when we were young in our 20s, and I've always helped with our church. And then, of course, my husband and I, he does worship, and we've worked with youth for years. In fact, we met at a church camp that I was a rec director at many, almost 18 years ago. And that's how our love story started, at church camp, right? Does that sound right? Everyone, he's a little bit younger than me, so I always have to say, he wasn't a camper. Okay, people. He was working there.
How sexy is your story?
So we met at church camp where eating gross foods and burping was so attractive. That's. I mean, if they can love you when they see you burping and doing food eating contest, I mean, it's forever. I can't get rid of them.
Forever.
But I mean, I remember how important those things were to me. My mother, early on, she had a lot of just great insight, and she got me a college girl to just kind of mentor me and be a friend. And you don't realize until much later how important that was, and it just, I think today there's a lot of misguidance and strange things out there. And so I love what you're doing, because I feel like we don't need to wait till we're in our 40s and 50s to transform ourselves, right? Like, let's start when we're 18 or 19 years old. Let's start and find that true, authentic path, that you're going for. Because, I mean, I can't tell you how many women and men, but many women who say, I just kind of went this way because that's what everyone said I should do, And now I'm 40 years old, and I'm totally changing my life trajectory, because I realized, my passion is serving people, in the hospice industry, and I want to be a nurse, And so I love that. I mean, to have so many youth that you're mentoring, you said 300 and something like that. I love that. And as I've been, nicely stalking you, on your websites, once you agreed to speak, I noticed that you have a book called Transformation Starts With Me. And, you guys can order it on her website, and we'll give all those links a little bit later. Can they get it on Amazon too, or just on your website?
No, just on my website.
Okay. And so tell us, we've got a few minutes here. Tell us a little bit about the book, and, how this is something great that people should pick up and read.
Yeah, definitely. So the book actually starts with the story that I shared in the beginning, with me sitting down as an advisor, and him telling me, you can't do that. And the reason why I started with that particular story is because there are many different areas in my life where those situations happened again. And I don't think it's just something that happens to young adults. I think it's something that happens to all of us. And like I said before, we have a choice. We can either decide to be what other voices say we should be, what popular opinion says we should be, or we can listen to that voice deep inside of us that we need to cultivate every day to really know who it is that we have decided to be, and to be ruled by our own compass, our own moral compass within us. And so I wrote the book because everyone's like, how did you do this? How did you create a national network that has 35 partners and has raised $500,000 in 3 years? And so I wanted to create a book. It's more of a resource guide, and I share everything as far as our, not just practically the leadership tools that we've used, but even the resources that I've used to structure our network. So if anyone is in a leading position, whether it's a corporation or it's a small organization, you're going to get tools inside of that book to lead from within and to lead teams.
Ooh, I love that. So we'll put all those links up for you guys who are listening. So if you're jogging right now, you're on the treadmill, you're in the car, don't worry, just click on this link and you'll be able to get all that info. And we've got a couple more minutes, and I want to squeeze this in because I noticed you're doing courses as well. And I see that you've got writing and securing grants for your nonprofit or ministry. Huge. That's a fantastic class to have, because that's a constant question. I noticed you also have the Transformational Leader, Maximize Your Message, Marketing, Organization, and Mission-Based Leaders. This looks like another fantastic class. And then the Masterminds, Maximize Your Message, Engage Students, Raise Funds for Your Ministry. So can they just go on and click? And are these self-paced classes, or do they do one-on-one with you? How do these work if they want to take these classes?
Yes, so the mastermind is a one-on-one coach grouping course. The other two courses kind of run on rotation. The course that's running this fall is securing the art of securing grants. That's such an important course because, yes, I had this wonderful idea to create this network, but I didn't have any money to do it.
Yes.
And so grant writing was the best opportunity for me to maximize my message and my mission. And so we were able to raise $500,000, and that was all in grants.
Wow.
Which in the last 3 years has provided internships, scholarships, travel opportunities, so many resources for young adults who are often under-resourced. And so I wanted to share that. What good is it to learn these skills and not share it with others?
Yeah. And that's that's such an important skill. And I love that because it really is, we're a nonprofit as well, Synergy Learning Institute and Lead and Empower Her. We're doing the same thing, and a lot of times I'll get people who will come back and say, we just love what you're doing, but you guys are such a little nonprofit, we're probably going to give our money to this big one, and it's like, hey, that's great, but but we're mighty, and I know that, we've been able to start to successfully bring in grants, but at first it can be pretty frustrating and disheartening, as you get turned down because you have this passion and you just really need someone to believe in funding that passion. But I learned recently that a large amount of people in America don't trust nonprofits. Like some crazy percent, like 70% do not trust them. So they don't invest in them. And I'm like, wow, we got to change that. So this is a fantastic class. And there are so many women out there I know that are thinking about starting nonprofits, or you have this side ministry and you're dabbling with the idea of it. Jump on this because it as you probably learned, because you probably did it from scratch as I did, went out, researched, filled them out, then learned our lessons. I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't work. Well, if I could have had a class, that would have been phenomenal.
Exactly. And that's really the goal behind the class. Our first grant was $100,000, and that's in some cases pretty much an anomaly. That's not everyone's story, but let me tell you why. My husband taught me how to grant write, and so he kind of walked me through his proven strategies, and that accelerated our momentum because I say $500,000 like, oh yeah, but for a lot of nonprofits that's not the case. And so I want to be able to accelerate and maximize others' experience with grant writing by sharing my proven strategies as well.
I love it. Well, I just think what you're doing is amazing. And this is what I love about our She Talks is, I always say people, if we hadn't have started these She Talks and this Lead and Empower Her cause and this belief that we need to connect as women, because right now I feel women are so divided in this nation. And I just think that we would be such a powerful force if we could come together and support each other and take out the nastiness and the competition, because there's enough work to go around for everyone, is my belief.
Absolutely. And I just love your platform, and thank you so much for creating this space and this environment for women. You're amazing.
Well, thank you. And we're so excited. And really quick before we go, I don't want to give away all your stuff that you're going to talk about at the event, but can you share with us just a title and maybe just 2 or 3 bullets of what you're going to touch on? And for those of you listening, just remember, if you can't attend the event, we now are streaming it online live, $25, which I feel is like a huge steal because we have not only you there, Nathalie, but several other amazing women. We have American Idol star Jessica Muse is coming to perform, and a few other big names. And so $25 to me seems really affordable. And 100% of those profits go to pay for our women veterans to take a transitional course we offer called Combat Boots to Heels. So all that money, 100% of those ticket sales goes to those women. So I just want to encourage you guys, if you're thinking like, I'm not there, I can't be part of it. Yes, you can now be a part of it. And so Nathalie, give us just a little, don't give it all away, just a little snippet of what you're going to do.
All right. It's going to be Leading from Within, the ultimate guide to transforming your life and killing it in the world.
I just got goosebumps when you said killing it. I love it. I love it. I just got goosebumps. I'm like, yes. I love it. I love it. So, well, our time is growing short. So if people want to get in touch with you before the event, after the event, what is the best way? Should they go to the website? Give us that info.
Yeah, they could definitely go to NathalieNelsonParker.com or follow me on Instagram at Nathalie_N_Parker, as well as on Facebook.
Okay. And you guys can also book Nathalie as well. She speaks at many other venues. And so I'm going to direct everyone to your website because, one, I love it. And you guys must see the adorable picture of her son on the website in a bow tie. I love that you have your family on there. And okay, I'm totally going over on time in this podcast. I don't care. I just have to say one thing. A lot of time when we are trying to be powerful women leaders, I was very much discouraged very often to not talk about my family and not show it because I was told, that makes you look weak. Just don't put pictures up about your family. Don't do this. You just need to be a strong leader. And I'm like, what makes me a strong leader is my family. Yeah. I mean, we're doing this for our kids, right? Like I want my kids to have the best life they can have. And I want to help make the world a better place. So when they go into it, it's not so crazy and scary, And so I love that, like, you have this picture of you and your husband and your son on your website. That bow tie is so stinking adorable. I love it. And I love it because it's like, hey, this is me. This is my family. And this is what's important. And I love that. So for all of you women leaders who are thinking, maybe my family is a crutch, maybe having kids is a bad thing, not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all. And there's just certain things that we're told that we need to kill. Mm-hmm. There's just certain voices and taboos, blah, 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 as women. No, kill it. And yes, you can have it all, family, career, and still, be the amazing woman that you are.
Absolutely. Well, that is a perfect way to end this podcast. So thank you so much for being on the show, Nathalie. Make sure you guys go to www.leadandempowerher.com. You can get your tickets for face-to-face or online. You also, if you buy a ticket, get a chance entered into a raffle to win a free guitar lesson from Jess Muse, American Idol star, and also a free drumming lesson from Darla Perlozzi, a top female drummer with so many accolades I can't even list them all on this show right now. So definitely keep that in mind, plus a lot of other great giveaways. So as I always like to end these podcasts with, live, love, laugh, and always be your authentic self.